Welcome to the Dr. Ramina Panjwani Show, where we're optimizing wellness together. I am your host, Dr. Ramina. Today's episode features Sonia Flaherty, who is a functional nutrition practitioner, master trainer, and health coach. Her motto is "Strong is the new skinny." Her passion is helping perimenopausal and menopausal women live their healthiest life. Don't miss this episode as we delve into the unique challenges and opportunities of menopause. We explore hormone balance, weight management, mental well-being, and dietary strategies tailored to women. Let's get started. We are back here today for another amazing episode. I have the amazing Sonia Flaherty. She is such an amazing person, and I'm so glad to have her on my podcast. We just did a collab where we combined hormone balancing information and adding in the strength training. What I love about you, I mean, there's so much. You're such a cool person. But what I love is your whole motto of strength is the new skinny. And that's so impactful. So let's jump in. Let's tell everyone who you are and how you got here.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm so thrilled and excited to be here. And yes, a little bit about myself. I am 52 years old, so I started exercising for myself when I was later on in life at 26. And I've never been one to exercise. I was born and raised in Canada, Toronto, and family was, when I was a child, it was all about food, surrounded by family gatherings, and spending quality time with my parents was in the kitchen, cooking, cleaning. Always, we've had a full stock of a wine cellar of lots of yummy goodies. So the word diet never existed in our family. But there was always good home-cooked, nutritious meals. Just shortly after I got married at the age of 23, I desperately wanted to have a family of my own. So my husband and I agreed to try to start to have a family, and it wasn't working out. So one thing led to another, where I had to go to a fertility clinic for help. I did end up getting pregnant several times, but unfortunately I kept miscarrying. So I've had several miscarriages. So going through that path kind of left me, I wouldn't say in a depression, but I was rather sad because I really, as a child, really wanted to have my own family, and it didn't work out for me. So while all that was going on, I ended up getting laid off from my job. So I was basically with no job. I wasn't getting pregnant. We decided to go on the route of adopting children, and that wasn't working out for us. And one day I had a visit from my sister, which she was very concerned about me, and she brought me this gift for no particular reason. So I opened it up, and it was a blank journal and a beautiful pen. And I said to her, "What is this for?" And she said to me, "I'm just really worried about you. Because I've noticed a big change in your health as, after you got married, as you're getting older. So this is for you to journal and to write down everything that you eat and that you do and how you feel." And I was beside myself, to be honest with you. I couldn't believe that this was happening and what she was saying to me. But it was tough love, and I really appreciate her doing that for me. So within a matter of a week, a ladies' gym opened up down the road from where I lived. So I decided to join the gym. I had no job. I had no kids. I'm like, what else am I going to do with my time? So I started exercising. My exercise was the cardio queen, is a term that probably everybody's familiar with, where I would just go in, do straight cardio, and that was it. Until I met a trainer. When I saw her, I thought, wow, she looked amazing. She was in her late 40s. She was strong, beautiful body composition. She had 3 kids. Her energy was impeccable. I said to her, I want to do what you're doing. She basically took me under her wing. I hired her as my trainer, and one thing led to another. She became my mentor. I became a fitness instructor. I became a personal trainer, and I have been a trainer for over 20 years now. I decided to do a lot of courses in school. So I'm a master personal trainer, which I have extended my knowledge to a wide degree of different things when it comes to training. So it's not just about exercise, but my niche is women. And I mainly target women because we are the caregivers. We're always putting everybody first. And it is so important to take care of ourselves. And we find it very difficult because it's not in our nature to do so. So my niche is women, mainly women over 30, because our bodies change. And when we hit that premenopause, menopausal phase, things are not like the way they used to be when we were younger. So I'm also a functional nutrition practitioner and a health and wellness coach. So I combine all three of those methods to help ladies to get the best shape in their life, because I firmly believe that strong is the new skinny.
Absolutely. I mean, you have gone through so much. So even you going through that and still staying strong and making such a positive, I would say, improvement, and then using that to empathize with women. And that brings you I would say, a unique skill set that when you've gone through some stuff, it lets you be able to relate to people and guide them. And, amazing that you pulled through with that. I am so, I admire you for your strength, and that truly is inspiring, because I know this is not on video, but the way you look right now, you look so healthy, and that's amazing. And even your energy level, even when you speak to women and just even me, like it shows, and that's amazing. And so you can tell that you're welcome. You're quite passionate about the work that you do. And women, sometimes we need that inspiration, right? We can see, especially when we're thrown into this world, conventional world, if you're not familiar with the functional world and wellness, but you're thrown into the world, basically women, we're gaslit, right? They're telling us, they, as in other practitioners, tell us that, this is just normal. Your body is old. You're just going to decline, and you just have to deal with it. Well, that's easy to say because, mostly the men don't have to deal with that. And there are some women, but, I could see that because even going through training, we as physicians aren't given the tools. All we're given is like the textbook bandage approach, right? And so even me going through additional training through functional medicine, it opens my eyes to offer tools. And so I know both of our worlds can enhance any woman's life, because that in itself, I mean, that's such an important, fulfilling period of our life. I mean, you're talking about starting in your 30s and then also going into menopause and beyond. There's so much life to be lived that
absolutely,
like doing this, you want to be healthy, and there are ways. So let's dive into, you started saying even the changes in yourself, but let's really dive deep into the misconception that people have to do cardio to be healthy, right? And why resistance training is much more important, especially as you age. So I'll let you start it off on that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's amazing when you're younger, you don't think of these things and you don't realize, but a cardio is great. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not knocking it. But once you start to learn and you have that knowledge about the importance of weight training, especially for women, and how it benefits our bodies in so many different ways, that knowledge is key. It's powerful. And as we age, we lose that muscle mass. That's just what happens to us. And to hold on to that muscle mass is so important as we get older. Now, I didn't start realizing that until I was in my late 30s, because my mom came down with breast cancer in her mid 40s. And watching her go through the breast cancer and battling that and chemotherapy and radiation and all that, and I was still living in Toronto, it kind of made me think, wow, is there something that I can do in my control to hopefully avoid that? Because yes, while we inherit genetics, there are other things that we can do that is in our control to try and avoid or prolong those things happening to us. And so that's where the benefit of weight training and nutrition came in for me. Realizing that the more muscle we have, the more beneficial it is for our bodies. It helps with our immune system, our digestive system. In case we fall, recovery is far better. But then the flip side of it is what are we eating? Are we eating that nutritious meal? Are we avoiding those processed foods? Making sure that we're keeping our bodies hydrated? All of that comes into play. I started to dive in deeper about weight training and the benefits of weight training, and then learned more about premenopause and menopause, and how as we age, nobody wants to get old, but it's a given that we all are. But how about aging gracefully and being able to keep up with those energy levels and being able to do the things that we love? And so that is what I preach to my clients. It's mainly about keeping up with those energy levels, the ability to do things that we enjoy. And as we get older, we don't want to rely on someone to come in and, care for us or do things for us. When essentially, it just takes a little bit time out of our day to be mindful of what it is that we are eating. So the nutrition comes into play, and just getting that little bit of exercise and focusing more on weight rather than just cardio alone.
Absolutely. Everything that you say, definitely agree. And breaking down the details. So breaking down the details on that, absolutely. You definitely start losing muscle beginning in your 30s. And so when we talk about the menopause state in itself, it's an inflammatory condition. Mm-hmm. And like you said, we have certain genes, but that doesn't mean necessarily that we're going to end up with certain disease processes, because that's where the environment and lifestyle changes and the lifestyle that you live has such a big impact, right? Like I see people showing up, young people beginning in their 30s with full-blown cancer, and they didn't have any family history of it. So it tells you the way that we live has such an impact on it. You do all the genetic markers and they have nothing either, but it has to do with lifestyle. So it shows how impactful certain things that you start with can take you. And absolutely, I mean, we both firmly believe you want to live a long quality life, and the way to get there is exactly this combination. So when you talk about yes, of course, cardio is good. I know when you look at the guidelines, you want to look at 150 minutes. Yes, but everyone's body is different. It's personalized, right? And that's what makes it's not a standard approach, right? And
correct.
And I love that. Yes, you could do some cardio, but cardio in itself, if you're already in an inflammatory state, can make that inflammation worse. And we know that can make you lose muscle as well. So if you're already in a muscle loss state, then you're slowly risking age-related sarcopenia, losing that muscle. And again, yes, it's so beneficial in so many ways. Of course, it's protective for your bones. And then we talk about the hormones with that, right? We get the muscles that helps with the hormones and decreases inflammation, which affects your brain, your mood, libido, and of course body composition, right? We all want to keep looking good.
Absolutely. Yep.
Feel good. So when you combine that with lifestyle, like of course sleep, right? If you don't get enough sleep, that throws off your entire your nervous system, your hormones, and everything spills in, right? Sleep will help recover. Then, of course, you got like the foods, like you said, you don't want to eat ultra processed foods. Eat the right type of carbs and the protein ratio.
That's
and then,
right.
Of course, yeah, like stress relief. People overlook the impact of mindfulness, decreasing that stress response, and all that ties into, of course, body composition, muscle, mood, because we're all body, mind, spirit, right? Not just body. And of course, you go into like having the right community and your tribe to to enhance that, because that releases the feel-good hormones and chemicals. But, you know, and you and I could talk about this for days, because we love, this is such a passion topic, and we see so much improvement in our clients. So, you know, of course, everyone has a different level to start with. Let's take two different women, someone who's starting fresh, has never done resistance training. How would that look like, right? Like someone who's never done anything, they're very hesitant, but they know they need to change their lifestyle, talking about food as well as adding in resistance training. And then the opposite end, someone who's seasoned, who's doing good. How do you make sure they get enough during the week?
Well, let's start with the beginner.
Yeah.
I do work with beginners who have never engaged in any kind of resistance training. So the way my program works is I do one-on-one, and I love one-on-one sessions with women because that is valuable time where I get to know you as an individual, but not just about what we do inside the gym. It's the type of lifestyle that she leads. And so as we're getting to know each other, I offer a wide variety of different suggestions on them becoming healthier. So in the gym, we start off super slow and low. And yes, we are going to do some weight training, and it's done on the resistance machines, because form is really important when it comes to weight training. Don't want anybody to get hurt. Want to make sure you're doing it correctly. You need that muscle mind connection. And I'm really big on educating my clients and letting them know what muscle is working for this particular exercise and how to execute the exercise correctly. And as we build that relationship and time goes on, of course, you're going to get stronger, and they're starting to implement healthy habits into their lifestyle. And we gradually increase the weight and we change it, and it becomes more challenging. So the variety of different exercises that is out there with weight training is completely endless. And there's so many different ways to design a program, but it is personalized because it depends on the individual. It depends on the time that they're able to dedicate to exercise, of course, their fitness level, what their lifestyle looks like. There's some women that, sit behind a desk all day, so they might require something more specific than the energetic mom who is driving their kids everywhere to soccer practice, to ballet, and all that kind of stuff. So my programs are personalized and tailored to each individual. Now, you take the woman who has been exercising for many years. Well, what has she been doing? What has she been engaged in? Let me teach you something new, something different, perhaps a certain way of exercising or a certain program that I offer she's never done before. What are her goals? And then it goes beyond that with all of my clients is, what type of lifestyle are you leading? Are you dealing with specific trauma from the past? Because that is important as well. If you haven't dealt with that, that sits deep inside the gut, and it really affects the central nerve system. And the body is amazing how it's like a motor, right? It works in an amazing way. So to help them in whatever aspect of their life that they need help with, that's what I provide for my clients. So it doesn't stop inside the gym. I contact my clients like outside of the gym. We're always texting, and I'm making sure that they're doing okay. Do they need to talk? A question about nutrition. If I know something is going on in their family, their kid's not well, how are things? Do you need help? It's building that community, because I think we all need to rely on one another and be there for one another.
Definitely. So 2 questions there. Well, before, one of them is something you just said is the trauma. And that's so big, because sometimes I would say often, if you don't address that root cause trauma, it will show up. And how it shows up physically, yes, mentally, of course, you'll notice it in your interactions. And sometimes your triggers, like what triggers you, that's your inner child, your trauma. So I firmly believe people definitely need to work on their traumas to show up in that way. But aside from that, psychologically, but physically, right? Trauma does sit in your body and shows up. Some people, it may show up as body composition wise, being overweight or unable to lose certain, I would say, to get toned, because it goes back to that cortisol response, right? And that cortisol response disrupts all your hormones, and it will be difficult to lose that weight and build the muscle to be in the ideal body composition that people want. And then on the other hand, maybe your body holds trauma in a different way. Maybe you're underweight and you can't build muscle. So it kind of goes to show that it really is a holistic approach. And that's one. So that's really amazing that you help them work through that. And then holding their hands through the process, not being alone, because you are building a type of friendship, right? Like, and that's important in itself, because sometimes people need a friend through that.
Absolutely. We all do.
And that's therapeutic, right? You're not just doing one thing.
Definitely. Yeah, no, we all need that friend, and we all need that individual. That's where my health coaching comes in.
Yeah.
And that's why I combine all three to help get those clients the best results, to get them in the best shape of their life. I mean, what I hear nowadays a lot is social media is great. It's wonderful, but it portrays this image of a woman should look a certain way. And that's why I'm like, no, strong is the new skinny. Exactly. And we can't, we're all different and we're not made the same. Take blood work. Everybody is different, designed differently. Some people can, have certain food sensitivities. People deal with things in a different way. And so it's finding that path, what works for them. And that's what I work through with my clients. So it's not just about exercise alone, because you could put in all the work that you want at a gym and exercise. But if you're not dealing with the inside, what is going on, I firmly believe a strong mind makes a strong individual. That all ties in together, that it all needs to work together.
Yeah. It's a body is a unit. If you're off balance, it'll show up. And it goes back to, like, we keep saying it goes back to how you're treating your body, and such impactful factors that seem simple, but we were dealing with people, like you said, like ultra processed foods, right? Who doesn't want pizza and processed carbs and all that, right? But it's
exactly.
So of course, everyone has a personalized approach. So your ideal person goal, what would you recommend? Say, these days everyone is busy. What would you recommend that should be the minimal amount of resistance training one can get in, and how do you make that happen, right? Like, I know compounding movements is very efficient and impactful, or do you like to focus on certain body parts per day?
So if time is of the essence, I strongly recommend at least 3 times a week for resistance training. And a lot of people think, I don't have an hour and a half. It doesn't have to be an hour and a half. It could even be 45 minutes. And that's where having the right program comes into play. And that's where I help my clients. So I designed a program that is based on what your time frame is, how much time you can dedicate to that resistance training. And once that is narrowed down, then we go into the nitty-gritty and figure out, okay, which exercises and what is best. And hands down, it is definitely compound movements, because that works more than one muscle at a time, and you're going to get the best bang for your buck. And if you're targeting the big muscles in our body, which are mainly our legs, biggest muscles, the back, the chest, getting that core strength, that core is always engaged. Lifting heavy is another key thing. That way we are making that muscle, which is super important. Tie that in with proper nutrition, making sure we're getting that good quality protein at every single meal. The two combinations together works wonders.
What's really important there too is the focus on the large muscle groups. And we talked about this recently, was there's actually, there's data that correlates with mortality. So the stronger your grip strength is, as well as your squat strength, so the big muscles, that predicts that you'll be healthier, less risk of mortality, meaning death and injuries, right? Because you don't want to, as you age, the things that have a high risk of death are hip fractures, right? Hip fractures and just fractures in general. But if you can learn how to fall, work on your balance and avoid falling possibly.
That's right.
Right. And that's what doing these key exercises allow you to have, along with the other benefits we talked about. So that, but of course, you want to not only build but maintain the muscle, but like we both believe is the good quality protein, because a good quality protein will give you the amino acids, and specifically leucine. And those are found in good quality proteins, and you can find them. And of course, we there's different studies, but generally, if you could try to shoot for at least 30 grams per meal, that will stimulate that muscle growth, because of course, as you age, you need more protein to stimulate that muscle. So imagine you do all these tricks. I would say wouldn't really be tricks, but mindfully add these components into your day, and it becomes a habit. So it's not that difficult once you know what to look for and what to do, and working with the right people. And
yes.
Yeah. And then you'll be having that quality of life and go do things that you want to do into your 90s, 100s, whatever makes you happy, right?
That's right. Yes. And I teach my clients the KISS method, KISS, which stands for keep it simple, stupid.
Yes.
It's a play on words, but honestly, it doesn't have to be complicated. And I tell them, if you can keep it simple, Monday to Friday, that's when we're busy. What we eat, my husband and I, on a regular basis, is always the same foods. Yes, it gets boring, but at least I know that my nutrition is on par. I'm targeting that 30 to 40 grams of protein at every meal.
Yeah.
And I don't have to think when it comes to the weekends and I'm doing my meal preps for the upcoming week. What am I going to prepare, or how do I prepare this? It's always the same thing. The meal prep is there. It's ready. It's a no-brainer. When I come home and I'm super hungry, it's prepared. Yeah. I'm not rushing, doing something or eating something that I shouldn't be eating because there's nothing prepared. It's not there. Because I know that when I'm hungry, I don't think right. And I will just devour.
People get hangry. It's a real thing.
Oh, yeah. I'll devour whatever comes in front of me. So, the meal prep is in the way. We keep it simple, the simple, basic, good, proteins, making sure that we're getting our greens. Fiber is super important as well. Definitely. And I find that, we don't have enough fiber into our diet. So it's all of that combined together for sure.
Definitely. And the key thing again with fiber, another point when we're talking about women and hormone, not only just hormone, it's just so important with gut health, of course, gut health, body composition, the satiety, right? Feeling full with the right balance.
Yes.
And then of course, where we talk about the whole body being a unit, when we talk about women hormones being off balance and feeling the effects, not only will that fiber help, but also that gut health. You got to repair it and dive deep. If you're having those subtle discomfort, bloating, that's a sign. And why that gut health is important is that hormones, it gets recycled. It uses your GI tract, your liver, to recycle your hormones. And so that's another building component. If something is off, it helps you get to root cause. So of course, eating the right nutrition and focus on targeting, and it really gives you that.
That's right. And on the topic about hormones and weight training, a lot of women shy away from weight training because they feel that they're going to look like a man, but we can't. We don't have that high testosterone level that men do. And as we age, we lose that testosterone. So that weight training helps us to hold on to whatever we have or increase that testosterone level. We want that. That's what's going to help us to hold on to that muscle mass, which is important for us in the long run. So it's amazing how the body works, and the importance of lifting and exercising. Yes, you're going to feel confident, you're going to feel strong, you're going to look good, but there's so much more to it. So much more.
Absolutely. Exactly what we just dived into. And part of just to make sure everyone's on the same same stage of understanding, when we talk about hormones, yes, we do have testosterone. It's important because it's different forms. Sometimes there's a really potent form that's affiliated with like male pattern baldness, hair growth in places that shouldn't be. But that goes to show that even something simple as strength training will have such an impact, and that in conjunction with the type of foods, because food is medicine, right? So if you eat cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, that will help with the detox to cycle the hormones through correctly. And then of course with the right protein we talked about, but then also using the right type of carbs, good carbs. That's okay. Carbs are okay, the right type, and helping that also with the process of that.
Absolutely.
Nuts, and all those. So we do have testosterone. Of course, we all know about estrogen, progesterone, but the other hormones is also that we don't often consider is insulin, right? Insulin, all those, and that ties into the type of foods that we eat. And of course, the stress cortisol hormone. So the body is truly connected, and adding in this whole approach to healthy aging, it all impacts hormones. So,
yeah, it really does. And I have a lot of women that, come to me and they ask me, do you put a meal plan together? Will you tell me what to eat? Counting calories. And right off the bat, I say, no, I don't provide you with a meal plan. I do not ask you to count calories. I want you to focus on eating real food. I want you to make sure you have a good, nutritious meal at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. No skipping meals. We keep our bodies hydrated by making sure we intake enough water. And I teach them about their plate, how to have a certain amount of carbs, a certain amount of proteins, and a certain amount of fats, because that's also important as well.
Absolutely.
So you need that balance. So to me, and most of them will say to me, how about an app for exercising? And I'll say, I don't. And I don't believe in apps because we're all different. We all respond differently to different foods. We all respond differently to different exercises. We all have different social lives. That's another thing as well. If you're given a specific program that restricts you from certain foods, to me, it works great. And that is a great plan per se for the first 3 months. But then what's the plan after? What happens after when you've hit those goals? And you're going to go back to that regular eating, or perhaps I'm going to suggest for you to have broccoli, but you've got a food sensitivity to broccoli. It doesn't work for you. So I teach women how to eat properly. And it's so important to think about that you are an individual that deserves a personalized program, and that you deserve, your own program to be looked after, because we're all unique and we're all different.
Exactly. And I love what you said about it is personalized. So the best way to start is keeping it simple. I agree with that, because you want to make a sustainable lifestyle change, not a quick fix, not a quick diet, but something that's going to work specifically for you.
Yes.
So in general, what does a good portion plate look like? When you just simple, I know this is not advice for like one specific person, but just in general, so people know what you're referring to when you talk about a plate and portion.
I think I say to my clients, it's the color of the rainbow. If you learn the colors of the rainbow and use your hand to measure portion sizes. So the palm of our hand becomes how much protein we are to have at every single meal. And generally it's
So not like a big restaurant, right? Where it's like 20 pounds of steak.
no.
20 ounces of
20
steak, right?
ounces?
That's too much.
No. 30 to 40 grams of good lean protein, chicken, turkey, fish is a great option.
Measured by your palm. Yep.
Measured by your palm. Yes. Also, when it comes to the colors of the rainbow, that's where your vegetables come in. So think of colorful vegetables. Every single vegetable that you can think of offers different nutrients. We tend to think of the macros, which are the protein, carbs, and fats. But what about the micronutrients that we need? Mm-hmm. So that's why color comes into play. So the more colorful your plate is, it's more appealing to the eye is another thing as well. So when you look at that plate, it makes you want to eat it. And then how is it cooked? Avocado oil is great. Coconut oil is a great option. So you want the good fats and grilled. I'm a big air fryer girl, so I use my air fryer a lot. Oven baked. I try and stay away from deep fried. I try to stay away from like creamy sauces, things that have added sugars to it. So that's generally what a portion, a dinner or a lunch would look like for me.
Mm-hmm. What about rice? What are your thoughts on like rice? I know that takes you deep down. You could talk about brown rice and white rice, but I know that's often a question too.
To be honest with you, I eat rice.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend rice. Basmati jasmine is a preference. It's all within moderation, to be honest with you. Yeah. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it at all. It's all how you prepare it. It's what do you add to it. That is not, when you look at a plate, that isn't going to take up the majority space on the plate is the rice. There has to be a balance, but it's definitely there. Absolutely. You need those carbs.
Exactly. Yeah. Amazing. So what are your thoughts on supplements? Do you have some of your own, or do you work with supplements? Of course, food is medicine, but do you have a certain go-to supplement for yourself?
For myself, yes. I do take magnesium. Mm-hmm. It really helps helps me sleep, to be honest. Yeah. So I'm take magnesium. I try and look after my hair, skin, and nails. So some form of biotin I do take. And what else a good probiotic. Probiotic is so important. Good gut health. That's where it stems from. Fish oils is another good one as well. And when my clients do come to me and they ask me about supplements, I'm not against it, but I do want to see their food journal. Yes. I do ask my clients for 7 days of food journal before we start talking about supplements, because I think that you can get the majority of your vitamins and minerals that we need through food. But sometimes, again, somebody might have some kind of food sensitivity. Somebody might not like something specific. So then that's when the recommendations come in. Also, as I'm in my menopause phase, I do take ashwagandha. Mm-hmm. I find that helps me, with the hot flashes, better sleep as well. It's great for anxiety. Not that I have any anxiety, but all the reading that I've done about ashwagandha, it helps from that respect as well. So there's a lot of good stuff out there.
Yeah. Just has to be used on top of the lifestyle. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, this has been so amazing. Thank you so much for taking time and talking to me as well as the audience today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on.
So how can people find you? How can they work with you?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. My handle is Get Strong with Sonia. And if anybody wants to email me, my email address is info@getstrongwithsonia. So you can contact me through there, send me a DM. Any questions, I'm happy to help.
Wonderful. And we'll have that information on the link below on the show notes. So
thank you.
Yeah. So I hope you have an amazing rest of the day, and everyone out there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you want to leave us with like a positive tip What's something you could leave us with?
A positive tip?
Or anything, advice.
To
What's going to get people started if they're resistant?
get people started their resistance training?
Yeah.
Or any form of exercise?
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good question. I would have to say, really give it some thought into looking after yourself. If our cup is full, we're able to give back. So a little bit of self-care, it goes a long way.
Yes, definitely agree. And we will end it with that. Have an amazing day, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Ramina.
Thank you, Sonia.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, share with your friends and family, and of course, subscribe. Thank you so much for your support.